There, welcome to the garden. So today I am going to pot up some of my perennials that I started from seed. And so I just wanted to share with you my setup and what I'm going to do with them over the winter. So I just started a bunch of like rudbeckias and echinacea and a couple different other things that I want to hopefully get growing. Well, I did get started anyways, but I want to hopefully grow them out through the winter and then next year be able to plant up, some bigger plants. Of course, they will, die back during the winter, but they'll hopefully kind of have a bit of a jump start and be going into their second year here in the spring. Most of them are doing pretty well. I did lose a few starts. As you can see, we have a few empty trays. A couple of these, the marmalade and the Nice hyssop, well, that one's not looking so great. Didn't make it, but I've got a few verbenas in here. I have some foxglove. This is hopefully going to mean that they will actually bloom for me next year. I'm trying to kind of trick these plants. And then I have just like a couple different cone flowers. Let's see, these are two rudbeckias, prairie sun and Sahara, looking not so great, but some other ones are really healthy. So the starlight coneflower looks amazing, and my Indian summer black-eyed Susan or Rudbeckia looks really good. And this is such a beautiful flower. If you haven't seen this one in bloom, I'll try to find a picture if I have one, but it's just like this really gorgeous, big, stunning, black-eyed Susan. So they've been in these little seeds trays. I started them in July, and then they're going to be put into these bigger containers, and that's what they're going to hopefully grow in until they go out in the garden. So I just have this filled with basic regular potting mix, and I'm just going to pot them up into the soil. So with these kind of trays, it's really easy to see when your plants start to outgrow the container, because you'll start to see roots coming out the bottom. None of these are really looking too root bound. They actually look pretty good, but it'll be nice to just get them out of these containers and into more soil, and I think they'll start to really thrive. So I just poke up from the bottom, and then I'm just gonna plant it into the soil, little hole, and then I'll water it in really well. And all of these are pretty much full sun plants, so I'll put them in my sunniest little spot, and that's where they'll go ahead and grow on. I just have been having so much fun with perennials this year. I feel like there's so many different interesting blooms, and right when you get into that July time period, which is when I started most of these, that's when you really start to see all of the color from the perennials. That's when the cone flowers really come out. You start to see all the black-eyed Susans at the garden centers and everything like that. And to get one of these plants from a garden center is great, but it's also like a little bit more of an investment. So trying to see if growing from seed is a good option. I had really nice luck with growing these kind of plants from seed a couple years ago. I used to have a community garden plot, and I wanted to do a perennial section, but I didn't want to buy a bunch of perennials from the garden center. So I just started a bunch of perennials in the spring from seed, transplanted them out there. They didn't do a whole lot the first year. They kind of just sat there. But the second year, they were just huge, full-size, beautiful plants, super healthy, and really, I think they had really adjusted well to the growing area and everything, and they did really, really great, and I was really happy with them. That's where I grew a lot of these Indian summer black-eyed Susans, and love them because they were just stunning plants. So all I'm gonna do is transplant all of these guys into these containers, and then I'm going to try to overwinter them in my unheated greenhouse. So I have one of those little Amazon unheated greenhouses that you see, the little plastic ones. It's nothing special. It does keep the temperature just about like 10 degrees warmer than it might be outside for the most part. If we get really, really cold, like if we get a really, really cold night, then typically it'll be just about whatever the outdoor temperature is. But it definitely warms up a lot during the day with the sun. And so my hope is that it'll just offer a little bit of protection for these guys. I do want them to still experience the winter temperatures. It's, you know, it's important for them to get that winter time. They need to have a rest. A lot of these perennials, like that's part of their, you know, the way that they grow. So I definitely want them to have winter, and they will experience that in the unheated greenhouse, but they'll just have a little bit more protection. And since they are so little, and I did start them midsummer, my thought, and we'll see, stay tuned because I will keep you posted, my thought is that that will just help make sure that they have a little bit more protection and they don't get totally hurt by the frost. So just gonna pot these all up. So here's everything potted up, and I just need to water it in well. There is drainage in this tray, but it just holds them. And then I did end up putting the verbena in a 6-pack because I had 5 of them, and we'll just see what happens as far as, you know, how they grow, and if they get too big, then I'll go ahead and pot them back up. But I think this is gonna be much better. The only 2 that were really like, this one is a little small, but I wanted to go ahead and just get it potted up so that I didn't have to worry about it. So hopefully, I'm really hoping, this is the Sahara, I'm really hoping that it makes it. I don't know, but maybe it will. I think these are gonna be better growing conditions. They'll have a bit more drainage. I'll keep fertilizing them, I think, a couple more times, and then just let them hang out for the winter, but maybe just give them a couple more weeks of like weekly fertilizer, especially as they're getting adapted to their new home. And then we'll go take this. I think I'm gonna need 2 hands. So I've got them right here in a nice spot where they can get a lot of good sun, and I'll water them in really well and just, yeah, take care of them. And hopefully, oh, there's got bumblebees and butterflies all over the place. This has become a nice little corner, especially for something like this, where I want to be able to keep a good eye on them and just make sure that they're doing okay. But I think it'll be a good spot. So I'm just gonna get the hose out and give them a good water. I am really excited to see how this garden experiment turns out. It's super fun to just try things like this, and sometimes it works out really, really well. Definitely, I think if you have a huge, you know, space that you're trying to fill, and you want to find ways, you know, to save money, that this is a great option. Starting things from seed is a bit more time and work, but super rewarding. You can get a lot of plants and a lot of seeds come in those packets. So as I said, I will keep you posted. I will let you know over the winter how they do, and kind of if I make any changes as far as keeping them in the unheated greenhouse. Really hoping all these little guys survive, but the temperatures are starting to cool down now, so it's a good time to do a transplanting project like this, because we're not quite in that really, really intense heat. We've got temperatures maybe in like the 80s Fahrenheit, but it's just starting to cool down even more. This is a great time to tackle those kinds of projects. All right, I'm gonna grab the hose, water them all in. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye-bye.